Hello, Livestream Legends! What is up? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Livestream Legends. Today, we are jumping into how to set up a pro or pro-looking studio in your home. Again, this show is about you guys. You guys are the Livestream Legends here, and you're joining us on this journey, myself and the guests that we have for the show, to level up your live stream. Whether you're just getting started or you've been doing things for a while and you're just looking to level up, we are here for you. So today's episode, we have a superstar guest. I'm actually just going to go ahead and bring him in right now. He is an absolute legend already, and he just started streaming. He has one of the sickest studios I have ever seen, and he's still new to this. So this is a perfect example of how we can get going and level up super quick. So everybody here in the chat, fire up the chat. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're coming in from. And I will be bringing in our superstar guest here in one moment. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Junaid Ahmed.
What's going on? What's going on? Hey,
Hello.
hey, so excited to be here.
Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited for this episode. Junaid, we are impressed. Everybody on LinkedIn and many others have seen your setup, and it's been the chatter in all of our Discord rooms and in our secondary messages. Everybody wants a sick setup like Junaid's, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, is your journey, your story into streaming. And believe it or not, this guy is actually brand new to streaming. And you're going to see here in a sec how brilliant his setup is. Right now, he's got a dramatic black curtain behind him. But I think just to set the conversation and set the tone, do you mind going and pulling the curtain back on your pro studio, Junaid?
Let's do it.
And I'm gonna full screen this bad boy. So this is what we've got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Literally pulling the curtain back on everything.
So here's my side view. This is gonna enable me to go and pull the curtain back. Let's go and do it.
Yes, you guys. Oh, this is brilliant. This is amazing. I have been so impressed by Junaid's setup because once you see the before pictures, he's turned this place into such a nice studio, pro looking studio. Oh, here it is.
Then turn on the lights and the light show.
Ooh.
We're ready to rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Let me give a quick little. I see we are actually rocking and rolling. The chat is
Blowing up.
in full. Here, let me pull up the chat. Actually, this is the beauty of Restream Studio. Thank you guys so much. If you weren't aware, this is a Restream show. Everything here is powered by Restream, powered by Restream Studio, and we are live on LinkedIn, Twitch. I see Gabe is rocking and rolling on Twitch. Scott Silverstone on Facebook. This is the beauty of multi-streaming, is we can tap into all of these conversations and all of these brilliant people all at once. So welcome to the party. Let me get a few hellos out of the way. Norbert is rocking and rolling with us on YouTube. The Ginger Badger over on Twitch. Danielle Keeling, thank you for coming in from Texas. Hope you're staying warm out there. And Julie Turner, thank you. I see you hopping in on YouTube.
Hey, Julie.
D-Root, wow. Amazing people. Yeah, feel free to let Junaid let him know you're here with us. I know he's been very excited for this one. I've been very excited for this one. And essentially what we're going to do for this is start from scratch. We're going to start from ground zero. At one point, I was in an empty bedroom here. I've got an okay setup. At one point, Junaid was in an empty room and had to start with something somewhere, and that's what we're going to be going through today. And over these weeks, everybody that's on this journey of becoming a streamer, it's a lot easier than you think, and there are some big wins in so many ways that we're going to talk about today. So Junaid, we mentioned at one point starting from scratch, and you actually have some pictures, some fun screenshots of what this actually looked like. So you guys got a quick little glimpse. We're going to go into all the fun details in a little bit. But as of right now, you can already tell the dramatic difference compared to the room Junaid is in right now and the one he's showing. So why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of context of the start of your journey. Why were you even interested in starting streaming? And then what were your first couple steps of finally taking this seriously and leveling up your game?
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm super excited to be here. I want to say hi to all the people in the audience. I've talked to Julie Turner. I told her, hey, I'm going to be going live. Solar Fox is here. Super excited for all you guys for supporting and sharing and, you know, encouraging, right? Because when you have your friends encouraging you and egging you on, it's like, all right, you know, I got this. So this is what the room started. This is after we had moved into the house. I put in my stuff in. I'm like, okay, this is a good start. Those ugly windows on the back weren't really beautiful to look at, so I was like, I'm going to turn away from it. There was this huge mirror in that side room. This was actually used as a workout room when we moved in. So this is my look of, you know, what I looked at, because a lot of the times when we're setting up our desk space, we're only focused on what we're going to look at, right? What am I looking at? That's got to look pretty. But as soon as you turn it on, like, oh, I forgot about what's behind me. So if you look at the images, I just had few cameras set up here and there because I wanted to, you know, I was doing the 30 days of video challenge on LinkedIn 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago in 2018. And this is a camera setup that I was doing. I was like, I have multiple camera, right? I still, being a videographer, I've been shooting short films for about 10 years. So I had the gear, I had the equipment, and I knew how to use it. So I was like, all right, let's set it up. I can shoot some video, and I basically kind of set up that back shelf to show off the thing. So when you look at through the camera, it looks a little good, but then again, it was not up to par, right? It wasn't this setup. So let's go back into what we are currently looking at. What did I do, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I have a screen share for that one because guess what? I'm in the studio. I
I'm
can show
in
you
it.
the
Well, let me full screen that one because this guy, so all of us that have been kind of streaming together and just getting started streaming, we all are slowly leveling up. And then the moment Junaid walks in the room, whether it's a Zoom room or our Discord or anything, everybody just feels like, well, I guess my setup is crap compared to this guy's. But it's just something you feel. This is something that we were talking about last week about building a world with your stream. When you have a streaming platform, it's very similar to how artists and other people operate. You can build your own world. And anytime you hop on camera, I can just feel you pulling us into that world. And it's just, yes, so appreciated, man.
All right, so I do have a couple of angles because what's not a good studio without multiple angles. So here's my secondary camera angle, and it just has that secondary looking like, okay, why did I do the secondary camera angle is because anytime that I'm recording content, recording video, I want two cameras recording at the same time. You can cut back and forth between the two camera angles without missing a beat. Because a lot of times when you're creating content for YouTube, you just have one camera angle, and then you're just you're just playing with editing, like zooming in, zooming out, and then cutting those blanks out of your video. You want that video flowing, you want that conversation flowing. So I was like, hey, if I have two angles, number one, I'm doing pattern interruption. My good friend Jim Beard always talks about pattern interruption gets you going. And then having it yet another angle just to show you what my studio looks like. So I've got my desk, I've got my teleprompter, cameras is my second camera, my big monitor, so that also provides lighting. And then I've got some accent lightings here, and of course the accent lightings on the shelf.
Game changers. No, it's the subtle details that really make the difference. So we will, this is going to be a conversational how-to. So everybody that is joining us in the audience, feel free to drop your questions throughout. We are going to try and keep in tune with the chat. Occasionally it slips through, but please do stay involved. Ask anything you are curious about, and we will make sure to address that. But the goal here is to walk you guys through this journey that Junaid has gone through since this old studio he was rocking and rolling with, and showing you there's levels to this. You're not gonna just immediately jump all the way to the finish line. It's about little tiny details and wins you can make along the way to level things up. So the biggest piece I think a lot of people overemphasize is just the need for fancy cameras and super expensive gear right out the gates. And sure, there's definitely room for that. But what we're going to explore today is that journey of starting from scratch. So at one point we transitioned from this empty room you've showed us, and you've made the decision you're going to either start streaming or you're going to put together a studio. What are the first decisions or factors you look into when building a studio? I know the space is pretty much the anchor point where you have to work with. So what was your mentality or your process of selecting a space, measuring it, setting it up? I don't know, everything that comes along with it. Let's start there at the beginning of the journey and walk through there.
Oh my God, I love this question because it humanizes what I did, like why I did it, right? It humanizes you and it shows you how easy it is to do. So what happened 2 years ago, I had written an outline on doing mobile video production using your smartphone. And I was like, okay, this is very easy. And I wrote a whole document around it. I did some presentation on LinkedIn local events, thanks to the help of Rod Ferrier, who's an amazing human being. I want to give a shout out to him. So he put the bug in my ear. Hey, you should talk about your passion for video, and we'll do a LinkedIn Live event and you talk about it. So that got me thinking. I created the outline. I was like, hey, I want to create a course around this. And as you saw my image earlier, you know, that was my layout I was using to shoot the video for the course, but I didn't like the look of it. It didn't pull me into it, right? I was still stuck on that piece. So I was like, you know, I'm seeing a lot of people buying these backdrops over on LinkedIn, and these backdrop looks good. They've got good lighting. They're creating the content. It looks bad ass. So what I did, I went and bought a backdrop that was so washed out that all you could see was really simple lines. And I was like, maybe I need to throw more light at it, but it just didn't do. It took me about 2 hours to set up the space so I could start talking and, you know, sharing my story on my video production, you know, course. But guess what? After those 2 hours of setting up, make sure the lights are right, making sure you have enough battery juice in your cameras, in your microphone, I had my kids walk in like, Dad, we're hungry. What are you doing over here? Feed me, right? So like, all right, let's go eat. The next day comes, I'm like, okay, maybe it's too late. Next day I come back, you know, you go to work in the morning, you know, 2018, 2019, go to work, come back the next day. All right, now I got to break the studio down because kids need to play in this area. This is their playroom. Like, oh my God, this is never going to happen. So I was like, you know what? I need to spend time and create the space so then I can just come in here, hit record, and start creating content. Just this last Saturday, I spent 1 hour, just 1 hour, and I created 10 videos because I spent a year in getting the studio set up, getting the courage to come on camera and talk, right? So if you look at the timeline, it took me about 3 to 4 months to, number one, research and test the lighting, test the camera angles, test the lenses, test the audio, where should my microphone be? If you look at my microphone, it's down here. It's very close to me, but it's off camera because I didn't want the microphone in camera view. And then so what comes down to it is the angle of view, the field of view that you're using the lens on, you know, where is that microphone gonna land into. I also have a secondary camera or microphone up here that I can pull up, right? So it connects directly to my system. It's still out of the shot. So it's out of the shot here, it's out of the shot here. So it makes it easy to record content and go live and just share your knowledge. So 3 months to 4 months is what took me to set up everything right. And let's see, I was just looking on the side and sharing some more photos on what that process looked like.
Perfect. Yeah,
so
throw them in the screen share if you want.
Let's go to the audience, ask some questions while I go in here.
There was a few there was a few questions. It's technically gear related. But Steven over on YouTube is curious, what razor does Junaid use to get that awesome beard?
My friend, this is 40 years of experience. Not 40, maybe 30, right? 30 years of experience of shaving my beard, getting it right there, right? So a ton of practice is what I'm saying. Is what it takes, right?
Love it. Yeah, anybody in the chat, feel free to hop in. Let us know where you're coming in from if you're rolling in here a little late. Also, let us know if you have any questions. We're going to try and come through this chronologically from start to finish, as far as an empty studio into the bare minimum basics of what you need to get started. But if you have any more specific questions about production, about gear, or that piece that Junaid was just mentioning, gaining the confidence to step in front of one of these cameras, that was a massive hurdle for me as well to finally make that transition. So that's what this show is literally for, is to turn you guys into Livestream Legends, the ones that are joining this journey, the ones that are sharing it together. So thank you to everybody hopping in. I see a lot of people rocking and rolling on the YouTube. Hello, Kisubuntu, Dead Hand Land Films. Got some filmmakers in the mix. Amatias, welcome to the party. And Norbert has been rocking and rolling with us since the beginning. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for hanging.
All right, I've got my. Let's see if I can reshare my screen again with the PowerPoint or the keynote that I had. So.
Brilliant.
Let's stop the sharing and start it again.
Alrighty. Awesome. Thank you guys for jumping in. I see some questions rolling in. A few good ones. So yeah, maybe the chronological won't quite happen because we do have a few good questions that snuck in here that I don't want to skip. What video switcher do you use? Dead Headland Films is curious what video switcher you're using to flip between those multiple cameras you've got.
Excellent question, Deadland Films. The switcher is the A10 Mini. Now I'm gonna blow your mind by switching to the multi-view. This is what I'm seeing every day, right? So I've got my camera angles, I've got my, like that fourth window is my computer monitor output, and that output is actually on my teleprompter, so I can look directly into the camera as I'm talking to you. So that way I see what's happening in the chat, I see what's happening in the game, right? So what screen do I want to switch to? Let's go to screen number 3. Let's go to screen number 4. So I'm using the A10 Mini Pro ISO, and I'm gonna blow your mind. They just announced yesterday, my mind was blown. They just announced a brand new A10 Mini. It's called the Extreme because it has 8 friggin' inputs. Blow my mind. I'm like, holy smokes, who has 8 cameras? But it made sense, right? If you're live streaming and you want to bring in multiple guests using their setup in high quality, that's what the switcher is enabling you to do. So it's pretty exciting times.
Absolutely amazing. Now that is the next thing on my menu. Nick was just mentioning anytime he sees your setup, he has to freeze his Amazon account so he doesn't go buying everything.
That's right. Hey,
I know for sure this is that multicam setup is the next thing on my menu. So this is just to reinforce the point of there is no finish line. Everybody's that I get great feedback of like, oh, your studio's sick, your studio's awesome, and then I see other people's stuff that I want to take and steal and change and make my own. So anything that you guys see or like or are curious about, always we're wide open to it. So I think Gabe, you had some questions. MFSB Live on Twitch. If you want to drop that again, these the chat is a little difficult to keep up with, but not a bad problem to have.
Yep. So Scott asked if I can tell you what it's called or the link to it. Well, it's the ATEM, ATEM, which is basically an Egyptian name for a god. So it's a god for video streaming, right? Think about it. So Scott Harris, check it out. The A10 Mini, I just dropped in. It's by Blackmagic Design. They have 5 different models. Mind-blowing stuff.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. No, we're getting into the nitty-gritty already. So let me snag one more of these before we lose it. Amatias, if I'm saying that right, is asking, when you use this ATEM Mini, the switcher, do you also need OBS, the big boy broadcasting software, for anybody that's curious what OBS is?
No, you don't.
What do you need for that?
A10 Mini has a built-in software control. So if you want to stream to Restream, you can go directly to Restream using the A10 Mini without using any of your computer to do OBS and stuff like that. Especially with the Pro and the ISO model, you can stream directly to the internet using this, directly to Restream using the software control, as well as record that show on an external hard drive. It's mind-blowing. It's beautiful.
Amazing. Well, yeah, feel free to drop any more questions throughout. This is a conversational tutorial, how to, we're all in this journey together. Like, live stream has only existed the last 10 years or so, and the people that have jumped into it were way ahead of the game. So anybody that's curious about it, there is always a way to figure out how to utilize live streaming. It's just a matter of figuring out what works for you.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll let you, I see you've got your screen share back up. We can pull that in to essentially start going through this journey that Junaid had from starting from scratch, never streamed before, to now rocking it like a pro. And you guys can all do the same.
So much.
I love it.
Yes, everybody can do the same. So here you see the 3 circles. These are 3 different cameras recording at the same time. The top camera was capturing my phone screen, and then the 2 cameras were capturing the 2 side-by-side videos, so then I can cut back and forth. This is my webcam view. This is what I looked like when I showed up on camera. Whenever I wanted to record a Zoom call, doing my podcast, this is what I look like, guys.
Oh yes, there we go.
Think about that.
Let's go ahead and full screen this one. Hey, that's where we all. Hey, that's not even that bad. It's like compared to some. So,
but all the colors blown out. You know, it was like really interesting. I was like, okay, let's throw some curtains on it. Maybe it'll look better. Like, no, it's a little better because, you know, now you're focusing where the light's gonna go. And then I was like, all right, let's bust out my DSLR cameras that were just sitting, collecting dust inside the boxes, and just playing around with my kids, figuring out what's going to be in my background. I don't like that setup. Let's add another angle. So now you can see as the room is coming together. That wall that you see used to be the mirror we saw in the first photo. So I took the mirror down. I'm testing it out again. Tests months over months and weeks over weeks, all of that stuff, just testing, and it all came through as I got my last pieces, you know, into place. And guess what? You'll notice in the background there's no additional lighting, but if you look in my view right now, I've got additional lightings on the shelf because that's something I just added last night.
Yes. See that, like in real time, you're literally emphasizing, even when he was already at what I would consider max pro, you can find one more detail to change or level up. So brilliant, yeah, that you're sharing this journey with us. So at one point, this was an empty room, and you started the investment. This is an investment of time. This is an investment of energy, and also an investment of money. There's a wide spectrum of budget that you can explore. But what was the starting point for you to turn this from an idea into reality? Where do we start if we're looking at an empty room and wondering, how is this going to be a studio? What's the first step?
Well, that's an excellent question. So the number one thing that I think about and talk about is that think of your studio as another part of your life. When we buy a house and we set up our master bedrooms, our living room, our family room, what do, right? We spend the money, we invest in the furniture that's going to give us comfort, right? We buy a big TV and put it in a family room with those sofas that recline because we want to be comfortable. So a home studio is the same thing. Think about it as the same investment. Some of the gear that I've had for past 5, 6, 7 years. and I'm using it right now. Like the lens, specifically the lens that I'm using on my front camera is easily 7 years old. It's my first pancake lens that I bought when I had my first camera, DSLR camera back in 2013. So think about that. You don't have to dump all the money in right now. So the one thing you want to start with is look at the dimensions of the room that you're in. Look at that mat. Where are you going to place? Where's the windows? Where are the where are the doors? If you have any closets, where are they located? So think about all of those things and how can you utilize those spaces, those walls. Remember back in the days when you'd be watching a movie and you got the director doing this with his hands because he is framing the shot.
Yes.
So frame your shot in your room, right? Hey, I like this look. Let's focus on that. And guess what? We have one of the best devices in the market, our smartphones. They have a camera. So turn on the camera, see what you like from that camera angle. And guess what? You don't even need to spend money on a good camera because your smartphone can be used as a really powerful webcam for your live stream. So measure your room, figure out where the desk is going to go, figure out if you can have bookshelves or if you can have a backdrop. Do all of that work, on a sheet of paper, draw it all out. It's all sketch work, it's all mathematics, because the different lenses going to give you different angles or different focal lengths. So for example, this is a very wide angle lens and has 84-degree angle from the sensor point. But as I zoom in, that angle, the focal length angle, the angle of view changes, and you're basically then coming in closer. Okay, I want to move back, I want to move forward. So you notice that when you just experiment and figure that out. So number one, figure out the numbers. It's all a number game. It's all mathematics, right? You got the angles, you got the room forward and backwards, and boom. I see a lot of comments here. I would love to address them. I'm just so what's that word, Travis? Just too psyched out.
Hey, no, that's not a bad place to be in. To have a lot of this is truly overwhelming, and I think that's why having a platform like this, or communities like Restream, and people that you can share the journey with, like you and I have had back table conversations about setups and about streaming and production. And I think that's a key piece to emphasize here is it can be very overwhelming to just get paralyzed. So rather than worrying about needing a pro setup, at least get started with something. And that might be a good place to start. That we just got hit with a question here. I don't remember who it was from, but they were asking, what is the bare minimum to get started? Here it is. It was from Kisu Bantu. Yeah. Glad to have you here on the journey with us over the weeks. So without overwhelming people, we'll get into the nitty-gritty details here at the end, for all the nerds that want to talk nerdy with us and stick with us till the end. But let's just start so that people don't get too freaked out by the cinematic multicam rigs that are rolling around. What is the absolute bare minimum to get started streaming?
Excellent question. Number one, lighting. Number two, camera. So we have light, God-given light. The sunlight is beautiful. We have windows. Use that window. And then to soften the light that's coming through the window, just throw up a white sheet. That's it. That's all you need. And then grab your smartphone, put it on a tripod so it's not moving too much. Or if you could keep it really stable, just start talking. Because what I didn't mention earlier is, number one, it took me 3 months to go live, or sorry, set up the studio, but it took me 7 months to get comfortable in front of the camera. So if you're looking to set up your studio, start practicing. Start practicing talking in front of a camera, talking in front of a mirror, because guess what? The more you talk, the more you're going to get comfortable with speaking your language, what's in your heart. And Ronan, I love you, man. Thank you so much for all the amazing concepts and amazing things here. Talk about my streaming is definitely blowing my mind. So the simplest thing that you can do is grab your smartphone. These things can record 4K videos. In fact, they're so good that in almost 10 years ago on fstoppers.com, they took an iPhone 4 and did a full-on photo shoot. And the key thing that they used was lighting. They had 3-point lighting so that they could light the subject and the camera does the rest. In 2 years ago, they had, can't remember the name of the director, but he shot a full feature-length film using 3 iPhone 7 Pluses. This movie can be seen on Netflix right now, called Unsane. There's so much content being produced, and with the iPhone 12 Pro or the iPhone 12, that camera lens is so sharp that they're shooting all sorts of stuff with it. So you have the tools. All you gotta do is just take that first step and start streaming. We're here, man. We're here to support you through the journey. Just start that engine and start exercising.
Yes. No, that's exactly what I've had to reinforce for a lot of people in our community and others that really have just put a lot of mental hurdles and psychological hurdles in front of them. And those are, all things that you can tackle. But while we're in this conversation of the bare minimum, the lighting piece you mentioned is one that really can be a game changer. So obviously the technical minimum is you need a webcam of any sort or camera and a microphone. Sometimes that's already on your laptop. Obviously that's not going to be great. But 90% of you already have the technical threshold crossed off. And of course there's a infinite room to level that up. But as far as bare minimum to get started, you probably already have it, or could use a very mid-level or budget microphone and camera. But the lighting piece you mentioned is really what can make a dramatic difference from the start. A lot of people think that investing in a 600 DLSR camera and like all of these fancy things you can blow thousands of dollars on, without proper lighting, you're not going to get any of the value out of that. So let's briefly tap into this lighting piece. Once you've measured your room, you've set up your frame or frames, if you're going multicam, lighting is the next game changer. So what low-hanging fruit can we tap into to get solid, reliable lighting right out the gates?
So there's plenty of lighting solutions that you can purchase from the many different places that we buy stuff, right? I'm getting distracted by the comments.
Me too. No worries.
But the lighting,
I was doing the same thing, right, man. Like, all good. This is the double-edged sword of live streams.
Thank you, Norbert. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Renee. I'm super excited. WYSIWYG TV is asking, where can we find Junaid's channel? It's also on YouTube. You can check it out. We can drop a link in here. But to set up lighting, you can get a photography lighting kit anywhere from $100 to $120, $180. And that lighting kit is going to give you 3 soft boxes. Now, why do you want soft boxes? When you have soft lighting, it's going to mute those shadows. Like, you can't really see a whole lot of shadows, just really nice gradient thing out of, there's there's just no light, not enough light going there. So having soft light is what's gonna up your game. So even if you have a webcam on your MacBook or your iMac, if you have good proper lighting that's not pointing directly at you, and I know the ring lights are really cute and really beautiful, and they do an excellent job at creating photos. But anytime you want to show up as a video, you want to take that ring light, push it as high as you can, and point it down at a 45-degree angle. That's going to create the look that's natural, because when you're outside and outdoor, you have light shining on you at an angle, not directly above your head. So if you notice in my room, the only lights that I have on are in my background, and I have a light in front of me and a light on the side of me. So if I switch the camera angle, I've got one light here, I've got one light here. Now, the grid thing that you see on my key light here is going to direct light to you and not let it spill anywhere else. So you can do like a silhouette look. If I turn off my main light, it's gonna basically darken me and then create kind of like a silhouette effect. So you want a light with a grid in front of it. Softbox is gonna get you so far.
Wow. No, I'm distracted by your panning cinematic camera that you typically have to like pay a Hollywood like rigger to come and like set up this and all. It's just amazing. And we've got some brilliant people here. Marsh, thank you for hanging with us. Lee's still rocking and rolling. Renee is appreciating the valuable tips. Thank you guys all for hanging with us. As we've alluded to earlier, this is a conversational journey where we're all in together. So not only during this show, but beyond it, please know you have, all kinds of people and resources to explore for yourself and anybody else.
I love how Jackie said that she recently got a small ring light. She just had to take it out of the package or get it out of the package, put it up there.
Oh man, just getting it started. Yes, Patty, gorgeous setup, absolutely. Gorgeous gorgeous setup. We got the superstar in the building today. So super grateful for it. Jenny has to hop off. No worries. Thank you so much for hanging.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
And everybody that is trooping with us, let's go ahead and step up into the next level of this studio. So we went through phase 1 of understanding the first uncontrollable, your room. The room you can't, unless you're really at another level breaking down walls and stuff, the room is something you technically cannot control or change. So this is the anchor point Junaid was mentioning, was understand your room first and the framing, the angles and everything. Once people have that set up, what do they do? Do they want to use the longest distance in their room for their setup? Do they want to use the shortest? Windows, what type of things do we need to consider as far as windows, lighting, all of that stuff? I'm assuming that's the next natural step of what we want to tackle when we're building out that home studio.
So when I set up my studio, and I was initially looking at, okay, should I sit close to the wall? Because I built this wall out, right? Let me zoom this thing out again. I built this wall out of, this is basically flooring. So I picked up flooring and I was like, I'm just going to put that on the wall. So initially I was going to sit something like this, right? So that would be my background and I wouldn't have to do anything else. I've got a nice background setup already. But then I was like, it didn't feel right for me. I didn't want to put the table right in the middle of the room. It's a small room, 12 foot by 12 foot. I wanted to maximize the room. So I calculated, okay, if I were to put my camera all the way against that wall, how much will I see in the back of my, or in that camera angle? So I looked through different lenses. I looked through the wide angle lens. I looked through the short angle lens, right? So looking at all of those things. So figure out what kind of space do you have available. Do you have a room that you can close the door in and it's dedicated to your space? Then maximize the best you can. Like I can put a whole mattress down here, and I've got a air mattress back there when I just need to take a little nap, right? Just to recharge. So I've got plenty of space. I have kids that are coming in here, jumping around. If I were to walk back to that shelf, there's plenty of room. So look at that space that you have, and then figure out, okay, I want to focus. I want this to be the focal point. How can I do that? Again, put your hands together and figure out where you want to stand. Then start doing the calculation. You want the windows always to be in front of you because they are your light source before you get any lights, right? So I've got two windows up here. I am in the basement, so I don't have a large window that I need to put curtains on or anything. I am in the basement. So figure those things out. That's going to work for you. Where's the windows going to go? If you have a closet that's going to be in your shot, figure out if you can turn around the setup. There's no closet, luckily, in this room, but you got to take all of those variables into account. So I would again think about how much room do you want to use. If you are in an open space, for example, you are in a living room, or you're in a family room, or you're in a bedroom where you might want to just allocate a small space, then do that. Go close to the wall, be at least 2 to 3 feet away from the wall, because the farther away you are from the wall, the better the camera is going to do when it's creating this blurred background.
Amen.
That answers the question, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think people can really understand the two directions of using existing light. You mentioned the natural light. If you're in a basement or something like that, obviously a lot of that natural light dilemma is resolved for you. And the only piece I would mention is if that's becoming the opposite problem, and you have a natural light situation like this. Shredding open everything. Doing the opposite and blacking out the windows, and then using that lighting that Junaid was just mentioning, that 45-degree lighting. I've got mine up here right to the front left of me. That's the alternative option if you aren't using the natural light that blows everything out like this. So, yeah, as you guys can see, there is a wide spectrum and a continuing journey for figuring this stuff out. So you do have, is there anything else in the screen share we wanted to go through as far as the journey, or should we just step into the next step after
I think we can
lighting?
step into the next step for sure.
Perfect. Okay, so we've measured the room. We've set up our framing, our angle that we want to hook up, and we've set up a few key lighting things. What do we do with, or I guess I'll just ask more open-ended. What's the next step?
The next step is getting
prioritize
good audio, right?
Yes, my man.
Without audio,
I love that audio came before video. The music producer is loving that. It's the game changer.
Why better audio? Is because if they can't hear you, they don't know what your message is. Plus with audio, especially on the many different platforms, it'll convert that audio into automatic captioning, because there is a lot of people that can't hear you. There is people that can't listen, so they're dependent on that audio and that subtitles to help them listen to your message. So focus on the audio first before you go and work on that video camera, because guess what, we're all holding a $500 to $1,000 camera in our hands.
Yeah. True. No, another valid point. No, and there's psychological evidence and proof that people react to poor audio, the effect is way worse than poor video. Even if you have the best 4K HD cam, if we were hearing Junaid on, and it was just a garbled like headphone, like Apple headphones mic, and it just sounded like we were talking on the phone, going through a tunnel, like that is actually going to have a worse impression than if you have a messy background, messy apartment behind you, but your audio is super crisp. That's going to be a dramatic difference, because we can use it even in real time. There's probably people watching right now that are only listening to the audio, and we're calling them out right now. They had it up on their second monitor or weren't even watching the video, but it's very unlikely that those people would hang out and stay if that audio quality is just unbearable. So brilliant to hear that. When it comes to focusing on this audio quality and getting the gear, what are your suggestions or recommendations for the lowest threshold? I guess let's do a budget version. What is the bare minimum to get going, and then your true recommended version of microphones and audio?
Well, Travis, I am a beginner live streamer, so I'm still on my budget version of my audio. I'm using a Yeti, Blue Yeti microphone connected via USB. So if you don't have that, right, connect the headphones that come with your phone to your computer, to your camera, to your smartphone, just so you can get clear audio. The closer you are to the microphone, the better you're gonna sound. The less work the less work you have to do on the back end to clean up that audio, to take out. In fact, there's a new app that just came out just because of so many people spending time at home and on Zoom. It's called Crisp.ai, that removes dog barks and children noise from your audio. So Sultan says I use a $10 lav mic most of the times. Absolutely. Those lav mics are close to you. They're connecting directly to the device that's recording your video. Perfect example. So start with a headset, get a lav mic, get a shotgun microphone if you don't want to be dealing with wires hanging on you. So what do I mean by a shotgun mic? So this little guy right here is kind of a shotgun microphone because it's pointed at me, it's recording the audio, and then going through the system to process it. So that's the next step. And then again, I'm still, so once you have these guys and you want to level up, then you go with a USB powered microphone that's got really good recording. And now, Travis, you're a music producer. You've been doing audio for so long. What are some of the good microphones for somebody to get started with? Because I've got a budget list I got a dream list of $1,500 equipment. That's going to be my next audio upgrade.
So the difference here on the audio side is the biggest transition is obviously you started with the USB microphone. So that's plugging directly into your computer or a USB port. The biggest win you can make, it's less about brand or exact mic, is the conversion to an XLR cable. So this is going to be, if you're thinking of the actual signal that's going through, the raw audio signal is going to just be way stronger going through an XLR cable. And they're these funky looking, you'll remember them forever once you see them once, but they're like these 3-prong mic cables that are gonna be plug into any type of audio mixer, old school, any type of hardware interface that accepts XLR cables. That's gonna be more important than the actual microphone itself, just because that upgrade is like a whole new world of like if you were imagining trying to like send a signal through like a stir straw, that would be like wireless headphones or possibly a USB cable. An XLR cable now gives you the full strength of that clean audio, and you can start having more of those like dynamic moments of if you need to be more quiet and go in, or extremely loud moments. It captures those with more clarity if it's on an XLR cable. So any microphone that is an XLR is going to be an upgrade from USB. When you do get into the official brands and microphones, the Shure brand, they're coming out with brilliant, that's what you see on the Joe Rogan podcast, all of these things. Patty was mentioning a lot of people just duplicate. Yeah, there it is already, the Shure
SMB7, right?
Yes.
Everybody loves that SMB7.
If you just want to duplicate, the existing setup, what's just standard best practices, that's going to be a great option. And then any other old school condenser microphones or dynamic mics will be a game changer. I have this mic that I've had is I think coming up on 10 years old, like almost over 10 years old. I got it in like high school with summer job money, and it's still been rocking and rolling. So once you do have a good mic, it's one of those things that it's not really going to go out of style. So
it's not going to go out of style.
It's worth the investment for sure. I could buy this mic now and it would be way smaller, which would be nice, so it's not as massive. But as far as it technically working and the quality of the audio, as soon as you make that jump to the XLR cable, you'll notice the immediate difference. So don't set the bar too high thinking you need to go buy thousands of dollars worth of audio equipment. There's a few big wins that'll make a huge difference. So level 1, USB mic, a Yeti, or something similar like that is definitely usable. And then when you're willing to invest a bit more, you're going to want an audio mixer, either virtually or physically, so that you can plug into a big boy microphone that has the full
Now, Sultan had a question as well earlier. He was saying, what type of soundproofing do you need to do in your room, right? What is that going to do with the audio? Well, number one, the closer you are to the microphone, the better audio. But if you had flat walls, if you have wood flooring, the sound is going to bounce around and come back, capturing, getting into the microphone. So you want to do some type of sound treatment in your room. You could also add curtains or blankets around you when you're recording, right? So on the floor you have blankets, on the windows you have curtains. You can throw up curtains. You can even throw up some moving blankets just when you're recording audio. So that's gonna totally absorb all that excess noise. Now Seth Godin says, hey, if you want to start a podcast and you're thinking too much about it, just go into your closet. There's tons of clothes in there that's going to absorb all the extra noise that you might be thinking, and you'll get some really good audio.
No, that's the game changer I think a lot of people neglect. Obviously, having a good mic itself is critical, but the actual room, again, the environment you're in can make a dramatic difference. So a lot of this stuff that we think of, like the stuff that you're seeing behind me and that Junaid has in front of him in his studio, is actually acoustic treatment. And this is different than soundproofing. Soundproofing is literally blocking noise, external noise or sound of any sort from coming into the room. What this stuff does, this acoustic treatment, that absorbs reflections, audio reflections when you clap or whatever. Like you'll notice it in a skinny hallway or an empty kitchen. It bounces and echoes and reverberates or sounds like tinny or metallic. Some of you have probably noticed those signals. That's what this acoustic treatment does. So those are big wins for absorbing sound reflections. But if there's dogs barking on the other side of this door, like it ain't stopping it at all. Nope. So just wanted to give people clarity on the difference between soundproofing, which is a way higher level project to literally soundproof a room, versus acoustic treatment, which is a way easier. Just throw these up on the wall and you'll have some decent acoustic treatment. So those will be the two categories of making sure your room is in a good place. Obviously, if you can invest in true soundproofing, that's always great to not have to worry about when the UPS man comes in the middle of a stream. And
exactly. Or if you have lawnmowers going on upstairs, you know, outside, because you know that just happens. You know, the cool thing that you mentioned about sound treatment. I recently watched a video where Shure has some kind of chamber, I can't remember the name of it, where there's negative dB sound in there. So
like echoic. It's some I know
what
you're talking about. It's
I can't
trippy.
Even remember.
It's
say it.
Super trippy.
And like you can literally hear yourself, your sound, and if you clap, it doesn't reverberate. It was so insane. Like just watching that little video, it's like, and so here's the cool thing about our human ears. We have the ability to hear from far, and we can tell the direction where the sound is coming from. Regular microphones don't have that capability. So in this room, you can literally experience that on camera. As somebody's walking away, you can see their audio diminishing, because audio is, again, it's waves, it's traveling, and depending on if it has places to bounce, is gonna then, you know, slowly diminish and tone down.
Absolutely. No, this is a big win. So I didn't realize the time. We've been rocking and rolling. So let's go ahead and start wrapping things up, but we got a lot to finish as far as that chronological linear journey. I'm not sure why my camera's going in and out of focus. Beautiful. Let me try that. All right, whatever. Let's get this guy on here. But what is the next journey? Next step in the journey? We've set up lighting. We've got the room treated for audio. Now we need to set up a camera. Is that what's next on this thing? Is setting up
now you need to set up your
camera?
Yeah, so now you need to set up the camera and where the camera is going to go in your space. Once you have the camera set up, now you're looking through the camera's lens. Now you have the ability to adjust where that camera is going to land and what it's seeing. So as soon as you turn the camera on, I can see this is in my background. I can rearrange this stuff. I can then start thinking about, hey, what do I want to see in my shot? What do I want to see in my picture? So think about photographs, or start getting inspiration from other video makers, other channels, and what they are doing with their backgrounds. Do they have extra lighting? Do they have practical lighting versus just a shelf of book? How close to the background are? So think about all of those things and what you want to show your people. So you got you got the lights, you got the audio, you got the camera. Figure out what's going to be in your background, because guess what? Besides you, they're also looking at what's in your background. So I've got a little Captain America / Iron Man pillow down there, right?
I'm surprised right? We have somebody in the community that their favorite thing to do is to find stuff in the background of people's cameras and of their setting and be like, hey, that's amazing. Like minimalist art of the that's amazing.
The Avengers.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta put that poster up because I just love the story arc that the Marvel puts together. So in my background, if I were to walk back there, you could see a set of Star Wars characters made out of Lego. There's a little Lego truck that I built. So again, I'm personalizing that background to show my personality. It's basically my personality. What message do you want to share? Now, I've been thinking of putting up a logo of my podcast somewhere back there, but I just haven't gotten around to doing that. Again, think of all those things that make you. If you're into beekeeping, or if you're into cycling, if you're into any of your hobbies, put those hobbies back there, right? It's gonna, again, make you stand out and show the audience who you are as soon as they look at that image. Because as soon as they see that personalization, they're gonna want to turn on the audio and start listening to you.
Absolutely. No, this is a key piece that Patty was actually mentioning. I think she's still rocking and rolling with us. Is a lot of people are just simply duplicating an existing setup they see, a pro streamer, whatever, and people try to do this just the same thing. But what actually can be even more effective is, rather than trying to duplicate someone else's setup, steal pieces of their setup and then make it your own with those little pieces that Junaid was just mentioning of branding. I know a lot of your things you just mentioned, like show it builds your personal brand, like, hey, the guy that loves all the Avengers stuff and beekeeping, and like it's a very unique thing. I have the same thing in my world. I have these floodlights matching specific branding, like an all red would be maybe a very different intense type of setup, but matching it to certain vibes or certain styles is something that you can go all in on, depending on what world you're trying to create. So yeah, this has been brilliant. The Restream is not loading LinkedIn comments at the moment, Junaid. So we.
All right, got it. I'm on LinkedIn right now as well.
Oh, you're on the actuals, so you can see them. Perfect. So we are still rocking and rolling. We are well past. I don't know why I've scheduled this to think it's going to be a half-hour show. I just blow. I did the same thing last week. I blew right by it. So maybe this is, we're well into overtime, but please do drop your questions for Junaid or for myself. Anything you're curious about production and building out your home studio, those hurdles. If you're just joining us, we've gone through room setup. That's the biggest thing first, is what are the uncontrollables. I can't adjust the length of the room. Try to pick the longest distance you can and the best lighting angle if you're using natural light or blacking out the room. From there, we went into audio and room treatment. Any options you have there are going to be big wins to prioritize. And then your video and your frame. Coincidentally, everybody always thinks of that first, but we went ahead and prioritized that as last, but it is one of the things that you have the most room to maneuver through. So before we lose you, I don't know if you have a hard stop on this. I'm good,
man. I'm good.
Okay. We did mention the multi-cam setup. Now, we are officially breaking out of the bare minimum category, folks, because you certainly do not need a multi-cam setup to get started streaming, but it looks damn good. So I'm very curious to hear some of the details, and I know some of the people in the chat here are as well.
So here's why somebody would want to think about multi-cam setup. Number one, think about what are you streaming about? Because if you're a gamer, you're already multi-camming. Your webcam is one camera. The game stream is a second camera. There's two streams already, right? So think about why are you streaming? Are you just doing talking head? Are you going to be showing stuff on the video? Are you going to be knitting? Or are you going to be, think about all the things that you want to be doing on your stream. For example, I set up a studio space for my kids who love to build Legos and build different things. I set up an overhead camera on their desk. Now I need to add a secondary camera so they can so you can see their faces and the overhead setup. So what I have in my setup here, I've got this little arm here that I can swing over here, and if I want to do like a book reading or like read books for the kids or whatnot, you have an overhead shot of the stuff that I'm looking at, and then you can switch back and forth as you're talking. Because when we're talking about something and you can't explain it well, you can show it, right? If I wanted to show you what my setup looks like, that's why I set up the secondary camera, so I can point at the stuff, what I'm doing, right? I've got my big monitor here, I can turn it sideways. What does it look in the background, right? I've got this big arm holding the cameras, holding the multiple cameras, and look at that nest back there of wires. I'm dreading when I need to go back in there and update that, right? So think about what you're going to be doing with your stream. Do you need multiple cameras, or are you just going to be talking and sharing your knowledge? Again, multi-camera is always an option, especially because you can bring in a screen share, just like we did earlier. We brought in a screen share of my PowerPoint or my keynote, and that's essentially a multi-cam, because that's always going to be an option. And guess what? You just need one camera and a screen to share, and you're already a multi-cam.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, man.
No, this is that's a brilliant piece that actually dovetails into our first episode. We were going through the keystones of what makes a legendary live stream, and really in the context of just standing out and being memorable. We go a little sensationalist with the legendary, but really all that means is something that stands out and is memorable for your world and your journey. And we went through the primary keystone, which you just mentioned, the viewer experience. Who is this for? What do they need to see? You could, of course, just I could add 3 cams all around the room if I really wanted to. But what is the purpose of those? So exactly like Junaid was just mentioning, there are times when that's super valuable. He's been going through promoting, like, this is what he's doing now through your Hacks and Hobbies podcast and show, is helping people level up their hobbies or interests into real gigs and real deal things. So you have a true purpose behind that multicam setup, just like the same way when we wanted to throw up Junaid's old school gangster setup. We can utilize these essentially as if it were its own cam, and I think those pieces that you're mentioning are just beyond vital, and really just reinforces there's no perfect setup. There's no finish line. We're all on this journey together. So if you've ever been considering streaming at all, just even in the slightest, please just make the first couple steps. We've got a link here in the description for Restream Studio, which is actually what we're utilizing right now to do all this pretty fancy stuff and full screens and layers and chat. All of that can be done through Restream Studio. So if you're interested, please join, get going. You can get going for free on that adventure, and reach out to people like us. We are here to support your journey, no matter where you're at in that process. So hope that everybody can see that.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention, right? You were mentioning how we tend to want to copy a setup that you see, which is excellent because it gets you a starting point, right? We, as human beings, we love to copy, but then add your own personality to that copied look. But you got to start somewhere. So if somebody's helping you set up that setup, right? I mean, I looked at Pat Flynn's streams all year long last year, and I was like, okay, I need that look. And he was my inspiration, right? So I set up my space, and then I started modifying it. Like initially I set it up kind of similar to what he had, but then I was like, oh, it's not working for what I want the room setup to be like. So then I started modifying because I got the basics. I understood what needed to be done. And it's all, this is all what we do in Hollywood studios, right? In Hollywood movies and TV shows, they're essentially blocking out a shot. So I blocked out this shot because this is the shot I wanted. But if I were to show you what it looks like to the other side of my room, I can show you.
Ooh, baby. Ooh,
Back there, right? I don't want you
yes.
guys to see that. So I was like, I'm going to
No,
set up this side shot.
It's so true.
And go for that.
It's so true. No, I have the rest of this room and this house is not as nearly as precise as what I've want people to see here. So there's this balance of authenticity versus professionalism here. If you want to be real, people love the moments. Don't stress about uncontrollables. That's a big piece.
Yes.
Like dogs jumping up at the door here, trying to get in here. Uncontrollables that you can't control. That's not worth not streaming. But these other big wins you can do are going to push you further and further and further. And once you find your style, once you get your setup, it's just going to get easier every single round. So I truly hope, a lot of you people continue to dive deeper into streaming and finding your world, finding your voice, building it out, because it is a continuous journey that we're all on. So
absolutely.
Please do drop any final questions. I know a few people are curious about the multicam setup, of what exactly you have to do for that. We can jump into that. And any final questions you guys have here in the chat of people that are hanging with us, drop them in the chat. We'll go into like a final little Q&A wrap up for anything, everything streaming in studios. But for now, I'm gonna selfishly be taking notes over here, because as we just alluded to, you can take pieces and elements from other people's streams. So I will confess now, the next piece and next element I'm stealing is the multicam setup. So I'm transferring from host to learner with this one. How the hell do we get a sweet multicam setup like that? What are the few pieces of gear and or technical elements that we need for a multicam setup?
So we haven't talked much about the camera setups and how the video from your DSLR or mirrorless camera comes to your computer. Now, webcams have a USB connector already, so they could connect to your computer, give you video. Now, some of our older DSLRs and even the newer mirrorless cameras, full frame or crop sensors, have the ability to connect to your computer through a USB cable. Now, and this was all accelerated because of 2020. Everybody's spending a ton of time at home, and they're like, hey, I want to use my gear. How do I do it? So Sony, Canon, Nikon, Pentax, Panasonic, they all stepped up their game. They created the software that you could then install to start using your DSLR or mirrorless camera as a webcam. So they enabled that feature. Now, to level up to the next level, because again, you are bringing in a feed from the USB cable, the next level up is using a HDMI capture card. HDMI capture card, because a lot of these DSLRs have HDMI output because they're designed to connect to camera monitors or field monitors or even televisions. Because, hey, if you've taken photos and you want to show it off on the big screen TV in your living room, your family room, you're going to connect that DSLR camera to an HDMI cable and show up that video. So the Cam Link, so the Elgato Cam Link, all these HDMI capture cards, there's a ton now. You can buy them anywhere as cheap as $15 to as high as $150. Sorry, as high as $1,200, right? So the unit that I'm using has multiple input, and I can switch to that multi-view input So these are my 4 inputs up here. This still is actually just a photo that I took earlier from my camera. The number one lost color connection.
I'm just tripping out over here now in the Inception stream we've got going.
Right, so we got the Inception stream. I'll show you. So here's my second camera angle. So on the left side is my preview. On my right side is the program. And here is the rear view. And then this is my 4th input, which is basically the Inception view. And boom, we go in Inception in there. So that's my 4 camera input. So if I go back to the kit right here, so in the top 2 windows is my program and preview. I got my 4 inputs on the second layer, and the third layer is so that off button that you see, that enables you to stream directly from this box to the web. It's got an Ethernet connection. The next box over, it says stop because I'm not recording anything on it. And the third one, the last one there is the audio input that's coming to the device. So this device is called the ATEM Mini by Blackmagic. You can pick it up for anywhere from $300 to $1,295. And this enables you to, again, bring in 4 camera inputs. Now, initially, it was designed for podcasters at home. You have a main camera setup. You have 2 cameras, one pointing at each guest that's on the show. And the 4th one could be a slideshow if they want, right? So that's why I have my screen up here as the 4th input. So if I show you my 4th camera, it's basically just my computer screen.
Boom. And that's a palette. That's basically a piece of your palette when you're streaming. Exactly. I know we've been... we have these Feel Good Friday streams that we've been throwing that are much more casual, chill, but very often out of nowhere, I need to put somebody from Zoom onto a screen or pull up a video or a meme. We'll have people that Photoshop like a GIF or a meme during the stream and send it in. So you can just use that extra palette. I just use my second monitor here as its own screen, and anytime you need to set up anything, whether it's playing a video, showing a picture, gangster versions of Junaid, we throw them up here. You can just use all of these pieces. They're all just pieces of your palette, whether you're an artist or a musician or a business guy or anything. There's so many creative ways to utilize this. Oh, Junaid, your audio is clipping out at the moment. It may be, the audio stuff we were just messing with, but I'm hearing like clicking audio at the moment. I'm gonna pull you off the studio for a second and then back in. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is real-time streaming. We were just about to wrap up, so if you have any final questions, Carlos Tacos, I see you rocking and rolling with us on YouTube. No worries, the replay is going to be available on YouTube, and the journey continues. This show is a weekly show where we're going through your experiences and your streams week to week. So let me pull Junaid back in here.
All right, can you hear me now?
I hear no clicking. Ooh,
all right,
baby, nice and smooth and buttery. We're all good.
It's probably because I was rubbing my feet on the floor and that static energy that generates. So Lito probably had a question earlier about if I'm using a manual focus versus a autofocus. So on the mirrorless camera that's in front of me, on the side of it is all autofocus lenses, whereas my last camera in the back doesn't have autofocus turned on because it's an older model, and if I had autofocus turned on, you'll see a little square in the middle of it, so it doesn't have clean HDMI output. Carlos was asking if he can stream using an iPad Pro. So that's a good question. Depending on how you're going to be using your iPad Pro. If you're streaming directly from the iPad Pro, is the application supported for that? For example, you can stream to many different platforms, but if you wanted to stream to Restream, I think you need to use a RTMP server or go directly to the browser. And for that, what you can do is take that iPad Pro's camera, install an app called from Irian.com. That's going to make that iPad Pro a dedicated camera for your stream that you can then bring into your computer. I've actually have a video on how to do that on my YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. Norbert's asking, how can we meet you?
Yeah,
how can they meet me, man?
Perfect. No, that was a nice little segue right into your channels and everything. So yeah, please do let everybody know where they can connect with you. Any final questions you guys have, we'll try and sneak them in if you are curious. But we're here for you guys. So
here's a cool
thing. This is an ongoing journey with all of our guests, all of us. So
if you have any question and the stream is done, I will come back to each LinkedIn and YouTube stream to answer your questions. So
amazing.
Don't worry that you miss anything. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm at Super Junaid everywhere. So LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, at Super Junaid. Just look me up and you can get connected with me. I also have a blog. Who uses those anymore? superjunaid.com, where I do my musings and writings. But again, just look me up and send me a message and I'll be happy to help you with your home studio journey.
Brilliant. No, this is journey is the absolute perfect word to describe it. A year ago today, I could barely even set up a Zoom meeting, and now we're running pro productions. I'm self-producing these shows in real time. There's just so many directions you can take it, so please do connect with Junaid. Connect with our community. We're building out a community of streamers and all kinds of creatives that would love to support one another. I think we've got some final questions to sneak through here. We'll end it in a few minutes. I have a show at home for a year. Would like to improve the platform and cast to a flat screen. How can we take it to the next level? So Greg, I do not know. I apologize for the name, but Greg Morris over on YouTube is asking, I believe, are you asking to put a flat screen in your studio and then stream to that, essentially as like another screen to put up a logo or a presentation or something like that? If that is the case, I believe my path of least resistance would be setting up an extended HDMI cable from your computer to that TV screen or flat screen that you have behind you. Junaid, is that on par with what you would suggest for what she's asking?
Absolutely. So there's, again, so sounded like he wants to cast the show on the TV screen. Is that what's happening? Is because that's what it sounds like. Maybe
yeah, she's mentioning improve the platform and cast to a flat screen. I'm assuming, I think it's like, yeah, those background monitors when people have like their logo or a running video or something on there.
Yeah, you got the right answer. You know, an extended HDMI cable. They get the one that has fiber in it, because fiber is good for you and it's good for the feed as well. So you can go up to 40 feet. I think I've seen people do even longer. So a long HDMI cable coming from your computer out connected to that monitor is definitely going to help. There are other ways to, again, push content out. But I think that's the simplest way to go about it. If we can understand a little more of your situation, again, reach out to me, you know, send me a direct message on LinkedIn or even on Instagram or even on here on what do you call it? YouTube, and I'll be able to help you and figure out what you would like to, how to up level your stream.
Perfect. No, I think I think we've ran through the questions and have given a solid foundation, but as we've alluded to multiple times now, this is not a one and done type of thing. So anybody that's just starting now, just curious about it, or you're well into your journey, we're all in this together. So yeah, please do connect with Junaid, myself. All of these Restream channels are loaded with resources on gear and confidence. There's an entire show about building the confidence to go live. So many great options. So absolutely amazing. Super grateful to have all of you guys here. Are there any final words you would like to share, Super Junaid?
Man, the only word that only advice that I have is just start streaming. Just start recording video. Even if you don't want to stream, just turn the camera on, start talking to yourself, and then you could play back that video, right? Record that video, play back that video. Hey, how did that sound? A beautiful thing that I learned last year is that before a movie is even shot, they go through the script of the movie at least 74 to 80 different times. The draft, just the draft of the script, right? Before it even gets approved to go into pre-production. So spend a ton of time exercising that muscle of being on camera, talking your journey, talking about your story, because once you got that down, human beings, we love stories, right? Look at anybody out there, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins, Pat Flynn, all these amazing human beings, Seth Godin, Malcolm Gladwell. They're all telling stories. So start telling your own story, and you got it. You got it. You got what it takes to be a streamer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Livestream Legends, powered by Restream. And today's guest was the superstar Junaid Ahmed. As we've alluded to multiple times, let's connect with this guy. Let's share this journey together, and share our story. Thank you so much, Junaid. I will see you probably in our Discord and maybe some other streams. We'll keep it rocking and rolling, but thank you so much, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. This was an amazing opportunity, and to share, again, chat with a friend, right? We're having a friendly conversation, and it's beautiful. And I just want to shout out to Norbert. We're there for you. We're going to watch your streams. He said he's going to start streaming. So super excited to be here with you, Travis. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much. I see we have reached the end of the line. We had 3 shows worth of material here for this one. Quick thank yous to everybody that supported this today. Jeff, I see you, brother. Thank you so much. Patty was sharing her own insights on LinkedIn throughout the show. Thank you so much. Sultan, Norbert, DJ, all of you guys, appreciate you so much. Nick, Ronan Janitor over on Twitch, absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much. This is officially the end of the line. So our only calls to action here are, if you're curious about streaming, hop in the link here we've got in the description and just start. Just get it going. Just get it started. The people you saw here today on camera had never streamed before several months ago. So hopefully that's living proof that you guys can join this journey with us, and we would love to have you. Thank you so much for joining another episode of Livestream Legends. Take care.